Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 46. Today's episode is an interview with Anne-Sophie Reinhardt. After a long struggle with anorexia, Anne-Sophie recovered and is now a podcaster, coach, and writer dedicated to helping others who are struggling with this disease. Here's Jen's interview.
Hi everyone, this is Jen Swanson and welcome to Communication Diva, the podcast that helps you to improve your relationships by improving your communications with one another. And I am coming to you with a little bit of a raspy voice. We were out very late last night at the Leonard Cohen concert here in Vancouver that was absolutely fantastic. He played for something like 3 hours at 78 years old and just very classy. And fantastic music and a really fun time. And then I was up early for this interview that I'm about to bring you. So about 4 hours of sleep have made my throat a little bit scratchy. But I am bringing to you today Anne-Sophie Reinhardt, who is in Switzerland at the moment. And she is going to be speaking about her experience with anorexia nervosa and how she has worked through that traumatic experience and how she is now helping hundreds and hundreds of other people around the world to deal with issues around eating disorders, with self-image, with self-love, and all sorts of other things. She's a very dynamic young woman, and I'm very pleased to bring you this interview. So here she is. I'll turn you over to that right away and take a listen. My special guest this morning is Anne-Sophie Reinhardt. And where am I speaking to you from, Anne-Sophie?
I am in Zurich, Switzerland right now.
In Switzerland.
And yeah, it's a great day, but it's November, so that's how it goes, I think, but it's still beautiful Zurich.
Fabulous. And I am in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it's very dark here because it's still early in the morning, but I imagine it will also be a great day here for us too. It's been that way. I'm very interested in speaking with you. We met actually in New York in the summertime. And Anne-Sophie is one of the people that got me inspired to start podcasting. So you can thank her, my dear listeners out there, because I got brave because of her first episode. And so I'm really pleased to have you here on the show today. And I wonder if you could begin by maybe telling us a little bit about why you got into doing this in the first place.
Sure. First of all, I'm really honored to hear that. And I remember my very first episode. It was quite short and funny, but, Cliff kind of pushed me to do it. I started podcasting last year in early 2011 because I recovered from anorexia, or I was still in recovery from anorexia. And I had started to blog about my recovery journey. Just to keep my friends all over the world up to date. And I was good friends with Cliff Ravenscraft and have been for years. And he's doing the podcasting A to C class. And I needed something to occupy my mind. When you are in recovery, everything is sad. You feel miserable. You have to gain weight. You just feel horrible, and your thoughts are kind of trying to destroy you, and so you need something to occupy your mind. And that's when I said, I'm just going to take this course. I'm going to learn how to podcast, and maybe one day I will start. But I never really did. And then I was talking to Cliff in summer of 2011. He was like, you took the course. What are you doing? Why don't you just put out an episode? And I hung up the call and just recorded my first episode, and I fell in love with it right away. I was a bit hesitant because I'm from Germany and English is not my first language, so there's kind of this barrier, but still I just loved sharing my story, helping girls all over the world, and then getting feedback from girls, just telling me how much my sharing of my first step into this new life has helped them to just be hopeful and just see that there is a life after anorexia. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That's how you began. And so do you podcast weekly? You've got quite an audience happening now in such a short time. It's fantastic.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I stopped the Fighting Anorexia podcast after, I think, 60 episodes a while ago. And I'm going to launch my new podcast. It was supposed to go up today, but iTunes is kind of acting up. So it's going to start next week. It's going to be called Your Life, Your Success. Yes, and I'm going to do it weekly. I did the same thing with Fighting Anorexia. But after 60 episodes, I felt like I had to move on. I felt like, I had told my story, my recovery story, and now I was more about living a healthy life. And I'm still very passionate about, helping girls who have anorexia, but the podcast had run its course. So, but weekly, I think, is the best thing to do. At least it was for my audience.
Right. And so your original podcast is still available, the 60 episodes, for people to access anytime?
Exactly, yes.
Right.
And I still, see people downloading them every month. In fact, it always surprises me how many people find the podcast without me doing anything, to promote it. But yes, it's still, every episode is still available.
That's great. That's great. I read something on your website about the little phrase, "I was nothing." Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. That's how I grew up. My sister, and my brother, he abused me verbally, physically, during my childhood. And he used to tell me, "You're nothing, you're nothing, you're nothing." And that's what I started to believe. And then when my anorexia kind of took over my mind, that's what I heard. That's what I lived, more or less. And I started to believe that all I could do was to diet and to be skinny. And that was the only thing I was good at. I was terrified of not measuring up. I was terrified of ever having to make my own living because I thought, people just wouldn't take me seriously. People would see right through my facade and they would see that, hey, she's really nobody. She's a nothing. She can't do anything. All she can do is be skinny. And that's what I really believed. And that was the mindset that kept me in my anorexia for 14 years.
And so it began with the negative statements and the negative self-talk and then believing in that. Is that how it happens for most people?
Yeah, I think it is. It's, you feel there's something missing inside and you go through a hard time. Most of those who have anorexia, not all of them, but most of them, they experience either bullying in school, a difficult childhood, or a lot of self-doubts. And I think that is the main thing. We doubt ourselves so much. Most all of us are perfectionists, and we just believe we're just never, ever enough. And this belief, this thought that whatever we're doing, we're just never going to arrive and people will never accept us because they will always see we're not good enough. That kind of helps the anorexia to grow, and to become stronger and stronger. And yeah.
And is it like any other, like an addiction or an illness where it just becomes your world? Yeah.
It's all you're thinking about. You are thinking about not eating. You're thinking about eating. You're thinking about exercising. You're thinking about if you're purging. How you can purge. You wake up in the morning. The first thought you have is, was I good or bad yesterday? Did I, eat? Did I not eat? If you didn't eat, your day is going to be perfect. If you ate, it's just horrible. You feel fat, you feel disgusting, you feel unworthy, and everything you do all day long is directed by the anorexia.
So how does one extricate themselves from this? What is the first step to getting healthy? Because I see you have a lot of products, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what is the very first step to the road to recovery?
Actually, it's a hard question to answer because I feel that there is not one step. I feel that you have to come to a point, unfortunately, where you see that I'm going to die, I'm going to destroy my life if I continue this way. And, then it's a host of things. It's reading blogs, reading books, receiving help, asking for help is a big, big, big step, I think. Your own readiness. And, after about 6 or 7 years of my struggle, I went to therapy, but I was not ready. I was not in it, and I just could not believe any of the words the therapist told me. So I think you just have to be ready, and this point, unfortunately, is different for everybody. And I know that it is very frustrating to see that from the other side, but there is just nothing the outside world can really do to help you, because you have to come to that conclusion yourself.
You have to want to be helped. Right. So as far as communication goes, because part of my focus here is on communication skills and improving communication, are there things around communication that are important to know when speaking to somebody who has an eating disorder?
Yeah. Well, one thing, actually, that is a great question, because I feel that this is the most problematic area when you have a loved one, a friend, just someone struggling with it. The most important thing not to say is, oh my goodness, you look so skinny, you look so unhealthy. And I know that this is a very natural reaction, because, when you see someone who just is emaciated, that's what you say. But that just fuels the illness. And it's the biggest compliment you can give someone who's struggling, because, that's what we want. We want to look as unhealthy as possible, because then we know we look skinny. And so that is really, if you can, don't say that. It's hard to replace it with something. Maybe you can say something like, I'm worried about you. Can I help you? But just don't say anything about them being skinny. Another thing, and I know that, it is easy to get frustrated, especially when you have dinner with someone, or just, when you're around food with them and they don't eat. But, pushing them, pressuring them, it doesn't help. That kind of goes against everything. It goes against this inner voice that's telling us, and we hear this voice, that, the more people pressure you, the more victorious you feel, because you are different, and you don't eat when everybody else is so weak and they're eating, and you just don't, because you're so strong.
So it sounds like it's about control.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It has a lot to do with control, I think, and because oftentimes that is the only thing we have. We can control, life with all the changes that come with all the challenges, and that we can control what we eat or what we don't eat.
And so other things, are there other things that would be helpful to say to people?
I would just say that, get interested in the person. Get interested in what is it that moves them? What is it that, they feel? How do they experience this time? Or just talk to them about anything but the disorder, because, that consumes us. And oftentimes, I know, because, my mom, she was desperate, and she tried everything to get me out of it. But the more she talked about it, I don't know, you just kind of, you you don't listen anymore. So get interested in the person. And because we're so lonely, when you have this disorder, you're so lonely, and your core is so raw, and you need love. That's what you want. So show them love in those ways. And we will try, those who have a disorder, they will try to push you away, but I would say just be persistent and just try to get to know them.
And your mom must have been beside herself.
Oh, and I wrote a blog post last year. I had a dream that I still remember to this day, that was where I just felt the pain that my mom must have felt. And I can't imagine what she, must have been going through, because really you are helpless. There's not anything really you can do. And yeah, it really is an awful, awful disorder.
And so is this the same for other eating disorders? You speak of anorexia specifically, but other disorders as well?
Yeah. I think that it's exactly the same thing for all of us. Whether you're binge eating or you have bulimia, the core concept is that you are lonely and that you need love. So it's not about the food, really. It really is not about eating or not eating. It's not about dieting. It's not about wanting to look skinny and wanting to be a supermodel. That's not what it is about. It's about searching love, or trying to somehow control that and control your feelings and not contain that horrible feeling you have inside. So yeah, from what I've heard, and there, a lot of people with binge eating disorder also write me, and they feel the same thing. So
the core of it is the being in control of something and searching for love and worth.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I see in some of the description of the things that you do. You work with body image, with self-love, with self-care, and with mindset. Can you speak a little bit about those?
I feel that, well, when you have an eating disorder, you don't like yourself, you don't like your body, you don't like your personality. And that is so important to learn when you start your recovery, to just have little tools that you can use every single day when you feel fat. Because, when you have anorexia and you need to gain weight, you will feel ugly and you will feel fat, no matter how skinny you are. Gaining weight is never fun for no. And, that is something actually people would tell me when I started to gain weight. Oh my goodness, I wish I was in your position and I could eat anything I wanted. No, it's not fun to gain weight. And, then it is especially important to find ways to show yourself love, to find ways to still be able to look in the mirror and not be disgusted. So, taking care of yourself is a very, very crucial aspect. And it can be little things like writing Post-it notes, and putting smile on it, or buying yourself a nice scarf, something that won't change when you gain weight. Writing in a journal is really, really, really helpful. So knowing what makes you feel good, knowing what helps you, maybe it's meditating or doing yoga. This is essential to have. And I talk about having a toolbox because, on different days you will need different things. And having coping mechanisms, coping skills, plenty of them, a lot of them. This will give you the best chances, I believe, to recover. And I also think that all of us women and men, we all need things that, help us to cope with life, and that make us feel loved and make us feel beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. One of the things I was curious about, because we have a couple of young girls in our household at the moment. The older kids are grown and gone and seem to be doing well, but we have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old in our house. And I'm curious about communicating with especially young girls around that age around food, because I noticed that not too long ago the 12-year-old was limiting her portion sizes and being careful around food, and she doesn't, she in our opinion, she doesn't need to be. The younger one, not so much. She adores food and has it at every chance she can get. But I'm just wondering if you have any advice for parents around how to, do you say anything? Do you let it go? Do you just watch it? What do you do when girls are around that vulnerable age where you start wondering about body image?
And that's so important, especially at that age. And it is difficult again, but I would say be curious. Ask them, just without judgment. That's important. But just ask them, why are you not finishing your plate? Didn't you like it? Or I've noticed, you're kind of reducing your portions. Just be curious and start a dialogue. And then, of course, it depends on the relationship you have. But I would then, ask them, hey, do you want to be skinny? Do you want to look like a superstar? And I actually did this with my cousin. She's 12 years old as well. And, we just talked about body image, about pressure in school, which is big, I think, because, girls talk about being skinny and they have their role models. And so having that open dialogue, letting them know that they can talk to you about anything about that as well. And just being curious to learn about their motives, learn about their world, learn about what's going on in school, and if they're pressured or anything.
Yeah, because we didn't really want to make it a big issue or bring attention, and it almost feels like it's a bit of a delicate dance, because sometimes it'll feel as though she's not eating enough, but then 10 minutes later she'll be hungry and she'll grab some crackers or something. But it just, you don't want to bring attention to food as a control thing, I don't think either. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because, like we said, it is a control thing. So it is delicate. And I think that, if you model having a healthy relationship with food, if you model liking your body, if you don't walk around saying, oh, I feel so fat and I'm disgusting, and, all these things that sometimes we do very subconsciously. I think that helps as well, but definitely it is difficult, and there's not a one size fits all solution for that.
Right, and that is important, the modeling piece, I think, because I know that we were sort of wandering around, moaning about this, that, and the other thing if we had too many Halloween candies or whatever, and perhaps just being careful of how often or where or when we say these things around the kids would be something to consider.
Yeah, very much so. That is actually something that was a big deal for me. Seeing my mom, my aunts, my grandma even, say these things, that scared me. It really scared me, terrified me, because I believed whenever I heard those words, that they would define me by my weight, and because that's what they said. And again, my sister, she did not take those words the same way I did. So it is about your personality as well. But for me, every time someone said something about, eating too much, I was just, I took it very, very seriously.
Well, that's good to be aware of, I think. From a parental aspect perspective. Yeah, good. You do coaching, and I see that you have a wait list for your coaching. How is that going, and what do you do with clients?
Actually, it's going very, very well, and it's fun. And what do I do? I have every single client, and that's the great thing about coaching, has her individual things she needs to work on, but mostly, well, we do it over Skype, and a lot is mindset, and we work on finding different ways that, you can talk with the voice you have in your head, and that you can just object, transform your thoughts, not go into a downward spiral whenever you look in the mirror and don't see what you want to see. We work on eating healthy, because that is, eating healthy and balanced, and letting go of all the diets and dieting and all the noise we hear on TV and on social media and everything. So oftentimes we just chat about life and about food and about bodies. It's, we just have fun, because sometimes I think that is very much needed, and just being open, because, it's very confidential, is super helpful. So I love coaching. I never, ever, ever thought I would do this in life, because, anorexia told me so many lies, and I was so scared of even talking to someone on the phone. And, then me sitting here doing client work is just amazing to me. So that's, sometimes, I sit here and I just can't believe how much my life has changed, how much has really, how much I have transformed in the last 18 months. So that's what, recovery is like. It really is amazing.
That's life transforming.
Yes.
So self-communication is, that in so many areas, I think this is key. And the things that we tell ourselves, and the little loops that run in our heads, the thought patterns. I did some training this summer with neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, and a lot of what we talked about, it was a coach's training, and a lot of what we spoke about was changing those thought patterns, changing those old tapes, that run and say negative things to ourselves. And it sounds like you do some work with that.
Yes. And we believe so many false things about ourselves, and it's mechanic. And like you said, we have this tape going on, and every single day we think the same thoughts, and most of them, they are very destructive, belittling, and it's up to us how we react to them, because thoughts, they will appear, they will come up, you will think them, but you have a choice how to respond, and how to feel, and how to go about your life. You can either believe your thoughts, or you can actively say, no, I'm different, I'm worthy, I'm more, I'm not fat. And so I think that thoughts are so important. At working with them is crucial to recovery. But again, with anorexia, it's important to know that your mind doesn't work when you're underweight, and it works differently. All the functions in your head, they kind of start to really go on a low budget, if you will, because everything you need, all the energy you have left is there to help you survive. So you have to have a certain weight in order to really work on your thoughts.
And you said, one of the things you said just a few minutes ago was, anorexia has taught me so many lies. Has it taught you any truths? No,
absolutely not. It's just told me the world is evil, people are evil, I am bad. It's all about food, about weight, and your life, and that is the biggest lie of all. Your life will get better the more weight you lose, and that is kind of the biggest lie that never comes true, because no matter how much weight you lose, no matter how skinny you become, it will never get better. Nothing. It only gets worse. But it's very deceptive.
It does sound that way. You have a webinar coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, the 14th of November. Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure, love to. It's a webinar about 10 easy ways you can implement right away, and in order to start loving yourself. And it's not just for those with eating disorders, because we all need a bit more self-love, I think. And I'm just going to share a few of the things that I do and that I did in recovery, and even, now later on, that help me whenever I feel bad, whenever I feel down, when things don't go the way I want them to go. And, they help to pick you up, comfort you, soothe you, and just live life a bit more rounded, I think. So we'll have fun. You can ask questions after my presentation, which kind of goes 45 minutes, and then we'll just chat a bit. So I would love to see you there. Lots of people have already signed up, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds great. I see that you have other products as well on your site, and that you're working on a new book. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a book already published. That's The Ultimate Guide to a Healthy Body Image. And that's available on Amazon. And, it's just, I talk about things that I learned, that I picked up on the web, in therapy, everywhere, and that helped me to really fall in love with my body despite having to gain so much weight. And from what I hear, the book helps a lot of women, and I'm really, really happy with the way people respond to it. And the new book is about how social media and the relationships you can form helps those with eating disorders. And I'm super excited about it. It gives you examples. It gives you ways you can reach out to professionals. It gives you, as a professional, it gives you ideas on how to work with people who have eating disorders and how to help them through social media. And social media has helped me so much in the last 6 years. And I've survived because of social media. I truly believe that. And I'm really, really excited about this book. And it's something that, in one way or another, it has been coming for 6 years. So and I'm hoping to release it in January.
Excellent. So it's refreshing to hear something positive about social media after all of the talk about how evil and awful it is and all the problems it causes. So I look forward to taking a look at that when it comes out.
Oh.
Yeah. I also look forward to seeing you again. We are meeting in Las Vegas in January for the new Media Expo conference.
Exactly. And it's only a few months.
Oh,
so yeah.
no. That's very exciting. Are you going to be speaking at that?
No, I'm not speaking this time. I'm just going to be attending and, meeting up, networking, doing all these fun things.
Fantastic. Good. Well, I look forward to that. Where can people reach you, Anne-Sophie, if they want to find your website or contact you in any way?
Well, the best way is to go to amindmedia.com. And, you have all the contact information there. Or you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is also amindmedia. And, you have all the products there. You can read the blog and the new podcast. You can find it there too. And it's just my central hub.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I really appreciate this time communicating with you, and I will have all of the links to your website and your book and everything on communicationdiva.com for the listeners who want to go there and check it out. And I'll put a picture of you up there as well. And do you have any last piece of advice for the listeners of Communication Diva?
Just try to be positive and try not to get too frustrated when dealing with someone who has an eating disorder.
Great. Okay, thank you, Anne-Sophie.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
So there you have my interview with Anne-Sophie Reinhardt. And I hope that you found this to be valuable and interesting. And if you have any questions or comments or maybe your own experiences with an eating disorder and how to communicate with somebody who has it, or if you are suffering from an eating disorder, if you would share with us
some of the things that drive you crazy about communication and maybe some of the things that are helpful in that situation. And you can do that by coming to www.communicationdeva.com and come to the episode 46, and click on the comment section and add your comments and your thoughts to the conversation. It would be much appreciated. I'm also in the near future going to be putting a post or a link or some information about the time in Las Vegas in January. There is a conference called the New Media Expo, in which several of my podcasting colleagues and I, as well as many bloggers and writers, will be presenting workshops and having conversation with people about podcasting and blogging. And the one that I'm participating in is called "Why Every Blogger Should Start a Podcast." I think that's our title. We're still working on it. But I'm going to be with a group of other people who are podcasters, and we are going to be presenting this workshop at the conference. So if you're interested, if you happen to be a blogger or a podcaster or somebody who is thinking about getting into this in any kind of a big way, please consider coming to join us in Vegas, and it would be fantastic to meet you. So I'm going to put that information up on the website very soon. I'm just getting in touch with some of the organizers, and we'll put a link, and there may even be some discount links up there if you're planning on joining us at the conference. And that is everything for now. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, this is Jen Swanson. Happy communicating.